movie and TV podcast. I'm Dom.
And I'm Simon.
Oh yeah, that's me. I'm Matt Doherty.
And today on the episode, we are diving into D2, the Mighty Ducks sequel. Yay.
That's where the theme music comes.
Fanfare, fanfare, fanfare. So welcome to the Mighty 90s movie and TV podcast, where it's always 10:30 at night. So it's time to grab the snacks from the sweet cupboard, move upstairs and settle in, as tonight's movie for debate is D2, the Mighty Ducks sequel. And we are absolutely honoured to be joined once again by Mr. Matt Doherty, who has kindly given up his time to talk to us about his experiences on the film. So welcome, Matt. How are you?
I'm pretty good, man. I got a Mr. Matt Doherty.
You're
now.
Mr.
Wow.
Yes, you are.
I've arrived.
You do two podcasts.
I mean, I've always secretly kind of wanted to get knighted in some royalist country, so like that would be the thing. Do you guys knight?
That's when we do Ducks 3.
Okay, yeah, good. Oh yeah, that's the missing fourth installment is when certain members of the Ducks get enshrined and by the Queen. Yeah.
We could do that. We could make that happen.
Excellent.
It'll be on Disney Plus before you know it.
Well, you never know. Now the way the world is, yeah.
So how have you been, Matt? Is everything okay with you?
Oh yeah, it's been great. I mean, it's the world's on evidently on shutdown, but I've enjoyed most of it. Even when I was just not feeling like I should be, but yeah, I feel like this time I think everybody's been reflecting on what's really important. There's that word going around our country called essential, so it's like I try to look at what's been essential and like redefining that for myself. So yeah, I think when I look at that, and then I can make the best of this situation. So, because otherwise it gets really bleak real quick.
Yeah, that's good. It's sort of reflective moments, but thinking of the future kind of thing at the same time.
Yeah, or actually thinking of like today, thinking of right now, thinking of like what I have and what I can be grateful for, and things I thought I needed that you don't. I think everybody's looking at. Hopefully, everybody's looking at stuff like that, but I don't know if they, as we've all been, at least here for 3.5 months now. I don't know. You guys are still probably under lockdown quarantine type thing.
Yeah, it's sort of just starting to ease up a little bit now. So other shops are opening and things like that. So we're still not really allowed out to do much else. So, but yeah, kind of the same thing.
And with and all that's going on in our world right now, and with conversations that are about race in our country that should have happened hundreds of years ago, and so it's a really important moment that makes one really reflect and pause and watch the Mighty Ducks.
Well, it's interesting because when we spoke to you last, so when you were on the podcast, I think it was about 3 months ago, it was literally, we started talking about COVID-19 and that it was just really beginning to sort of be a thing, but we weren't on lockdown now. And then to be talking to you now where hopefully, touch wood, we're coming to being on the other side of it. It's crazy how things can change in such a short matter of time. And then, like you said, with all of the civil rights horrible situation that's happening at the moment, but hopefully that is, again, as you said, sparking a stimulus for change. It's been a crazy history defining couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's just been a long time coming, and I think who knows, man. I'm not even though I love history and I've been studying it all my life, but it's interesting with how it reflects to Mighty Ducks 1, which isn't this one, right? The idea that like District 5 in Minneapolis, where that is it's supposed to be kind of like a poor probably predominantly Black and brown community, and that like is where the line finally got crossed out here, where finally just whatever circumstances, people were like, enough's enough, even though enough is enough had been said hundreds of times. And so it's just interesting, maybe like, you're right, just a few months ago we were talking and like this was like just on the horizon, and it's changed our world, but it makes I don't know about you, it makes like entertainment and art and the things that we do and are so vital, you know, and the creation of content and the thing behind me, the flat screen TV and the computer that connects to the internet that has all this stuff to watch and learn. And, you know, I think like that's like, I don't know about you, has been as essential and important as like food and water and coffee and what is the I've been learning, we've been watching the Great British Baking Show, so like that, right? You know, like, and I learned about things like Jaffa cakes, you know. So it's like that kind of stuff. I think is what we do in making people laugh, making people feel things, like watching. We've been watching a show called Dairy Girls out of Ireland, and like it's a great show, and like in like
right, yeah,
in the
really
middle
good.
of all of this like insanity, watching a good movie, watching something that makes you feel good or something that makes you have some hope or whatever, like that reminds me of like what we do really is important.
Well, I think completely, and we need things to keep stimulating our minds and keep engaged. So completely with the entertainment, and hopefully, well, a lot of podcasts have been important to me in keeping engaged with things when walking my dog and doing things around the house, etc. So hopefully, we're hoping that this platform and people being able to listen to your perspective on things, Matt, is.
Oh, it's that bad if they're listening. That's a total breakdown in the system.
Well, I just have to highlight the fact that if this is your first time tuning into the podcast, and we actually do have one of our proudest episodes is with Matt previously that we were just talking about, covering D1, the first Mighty Ducks movie, which you can find on all podcast platforms. So please check that out, because you have great insight into the first Mighty Ducks, as well as, you know, what you've been doing and your career. Also, just a perfect opportunity to talk about your album Dignity, which we spoke about on the last podcast, but we really want everyone to get out there and support, because it's a really great album. And yeah, I mean, so that's available on all platforms for music, right?
Yeah, it's on Spotify, Apple Play, or Apple Music, Google Play, all those. Anywhere you look, you can, you know, type in my name in Dignity. There's a little old-fashioned like daguerreotype 1800s photo of with me. You'll see it. And then if you listen to anything, there's a song called Ferguson on there that I find to be really important, and I always wish I don't have to play anymore. And it's all about what's going on in our world right now. So if you listen to anything, why don't you listen to Ferguson and share it, spread the word on that one, and I feel like it's an important tune.
Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll put the links to all of that in the description as well, to your website, Matt, and, you know, to where you can find these things online. Well, to talk about the Mighty Ducks 2, I can't tell you, Matt, how important this film was to my childhood. I absolutely love it. It's my favorite of the three, as you can tell from the jerseys behind and the tracksuit, which again, if we spoke about on the previous episode of the podcast, but that's how we got into contact originally. Was
I fact checked.
You did, of your jersey from D2. Here it is. You're sort of reunited.
Yeah, I have. I think there's 3 of those in existence. So maybe 4. So you have one of them. Yeah, that's me. That's crazy, dude. I have one still, and I have one that's like been given to me that was like somebody made in China. That's like a version of that. But yeah, and all that stuff.
It's a prized possession to me, and it was actually a very long story of me struggling to get it into the country and to get it imported, and I had to do all kinds of things to get it through. But
they really don't want hockey in England, huh? That's well, your guys nationally, your teeth are bad enough, so I feel like it's
True. Smashed up.
Too many Jaffa cakes.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Oh, Mary Berry.
I love Mary Berry. I miss her. She on season 3 when she went, you know, I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Prue, but and then that oddball that took over for that weird, wonderful oddball.
Noel Fielding.
Oh my God, man.
Yeah.
I often wonder, like, we were talking about, like, I wonder what life has been like with him in quarantine.
Oh God, yeah. Imagine. It'll be bonkers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's odd to think of you watching that from all the way over there, but my wife was just watching Say Yes to the Dress, which is, I guess, also a very sort of American type show. So it goes both ways.
Oh yeah, and I finally broke down and watched The Masked Singer, and which I thought I would never do, and we watched like 2 episodes, and then we were like, we both felt like a little weird. We were like, I think this is a little sensory overload here. And then, but that, I mean, that's something I just was like, I always think, why? And then I'm like, this is actually kind of fun. And I was like, get over yourself. I'm like this like pure artist too, who thinks it's all like, it's celebrity worship. And then I'm like, no, it's actually really good. So yeah, I think in these times, the comfort of like, reality, but like merit-based reality shows, in my opinion, is like, that's why I love British Baking Show. It's just like, it's just, there's no exploitation. It doesn't feel like it. No one fails, and they're trying to like hurt people. It's just about a good bake. I found that really comforting during an epidemic.
Nice. Well, that's a perfect segue into a segment that we're going to put in here, which where I've spoke to Connor, who lives in Minnesota, and Matt, hopefully you'll get a chance to watch this back once we've edited it together, because he is a super fan. He's actually met you before in person, but he has like 15 or so of these original Mighty Ducks jerseys, of the screen worn ones. He has ones that you would never even think of. Like he has like Duluth East and Germany and like all of them from it's insane. So I had a great interview with him and we talked through it all. So we're going to go over.
Does he have a Trinidad Tobago jersey?
He does.
Okay. Then he's gone deep. And there might need to be intervention on this man's behalf. So.
I want that Trinidad one so badly. He has it. So so check this out. And this is me and Connor. So I am here with Connor, who is, like myself, a super fan of the Mighty Ducks trilogy. Just to add some context before we get into all of this prop collecting and the screen-worn jerseys, etc., Connor and I actually met on the underground black market of screen-worn Mighty Ducks jerseys, probably about maybe 6 months ago or so. And I was like, I found someone else that is as crazy as me to try and get all of these jerseys, and someone that's as into these films as I am, and we kind of formed a friendship. But this is actually the first time that we have spoken face to face on Zoom, or actually heard your voice. So it's nice to finally meet you in a way.
That's great to meet you too.
I mean, so can you just to take us back from the beginning? So when did you, obviously there's so much to talk about. If you are listening to the audio of this on podcast platforms, then I really urge you to find this video on YouTube so that you can see the jerseys and the memorabilia that we're going to talk about. If you're a fan,
I'll try to describe them well, but I think the video will do it a little bit more justice.
Completely, yeah. We'll do our best to give all the descriptions, but yeah, I would urge you to check out the video online as well. But Connor, what was your introduction to the movies? Like, how did they come into your life, and then why are they, still here with you to this day?
Yeah, again, thanks for having me on. It's been a lot of fun, and like you said, there's, I don't know, maybe we'll find more people like us with this podcast, but there's maybe the few and the mighty. But I loved collecting jerseys and collecting stuff in general when I was a kid. But being from Minnesota, there wasn't a lot of pride of movies about Minnesota, things in entertainment especially, and in D2 specifically. I was one of the earlier '90s kids, but that came out when I was 6 or 7. So that was something that I grew up, and at that time you're thinking, when you're 6 or 7 years old, an 8th grader is like an adult that they know what they're doing, they got their life figured out. So looking up to them and seeing kids that played hockey like I did for fun, they're quote unquote from Minnesota, and sort of seeing yourself was a really cool thing for me as a kid. And fast forward again, when I was about in high school, I thought about collecting these kind of jerseys, but had never seen them until 2009. I got my first jersey actually as Christmas presents, and bought one for myself, obviously too, but that's when I started. And, it's been a really funny journey, and meeting great people along the way has been, honestly, one of the better parts of it.
That's awesome. So this started, I mean, I think we're like the same sort of age, because D2 came out when I was 7. So it came out in 94. So I'm sure it'd be interesting to know if the other collectors of these jerseys, I'm sure we're all in the same sort of age bracket. Which was the first jersey that you owned then?
So the first one I bought, again, looking in 2009, I originally collected coins and just random stuff like that. So I'd look on eBay as a kid just to see what was out there. And I looked, and the first jerseys I bought, I have 2 brothers, one older, one younger. And you can see one of them right there is the Iceland jersey, but I can show you the other 2. So I bought 3 of them. And one of them, is mine, the other 2, but there's a handful that you can see in the movie. Here's the other, but this was the, again, first one, to me, kind of one of the iconic, if you see the jersey, you know where it's from. And frankly, that's how it all kind of, the domino fell. And now I have all these.
Well, just to make it abundantly clear to anyone that's seeing this online or, for the first time, these are the actual jerseys from the movie. These aren't replicas. These are the actual ones. And there is a minefield when you get into it of, you've got jerseys that are from the cast members, and they usually had maybe 2 jerseys that are used for production, and then you've got stunt doubles. So sometimes you can get jerseys that are from the stunt double or from the main cast member. And I mean, so you must know all about this as well.
Yeah, sort of trial and error. For me, it started again. Money was more the constraint, but it was sort of just to get one. It didn't matter that it was Gunnar Stahls, which in hindsight, yeah, that would be pretty sweet. Maybe I wish I would have got that one, but just being, having a part of that history, I think is what drew me to it initially. But you're right. And again, about 10 or so years ago, it was less of a minefield, like you mentioned, where there weren't all these replicas floating around. So if the only one you could get was the real one, you couldn't get a replica and have it and be happy because it didn't exist. Now it's a little different.
Yeah, completely. And I mean, so these jerseys, they come with what's called a COA, which is a certificate of authenticity that comes from the production wardrobe department of the movies, which was Sports Robe. And these are all things that I had to learn because, so I also have some jerseys. So I was thinking maybe what we could do is do a little 1-for-1 and go through a bit of the story of each one of how you came to get it. And I can sort of do the same with the ones that I have. You will definitely beat me because I have 4 jerseys and I have 1 tracksuit. And I know for a fact that you have more than that. I mean, this is actually a good time to say that you have an Instagram account that's dedicated to collecting the jerseys, which is called, is it Jersey Chasing?
Jersey Chasing, and it has a kind of a funny connotation with girls liking hockey players in Minnesota. It's sort of a play on that, but I don't know how that translates to global slang. But yes, it's called Jersey Chasing. I actually just started it sort of as a fun way to, again, meet people like you, Simon, and sort of share and see if there's any others like us.
I love it. It's awesome. Every time you post a jersey on there, I want to sell something so I can have it. So I'll try and make you an offer for it. So we'll put the tag to that in the description, but 100% go and check that out and follow that account and follow Connor on this iconic journey of jersey collecting. So let's take it back then. So the first one was the Iceland, and you got 3 of them, you said.
Yep. For, again, 2 of them are my brothers. So I only have the one you see up here. but that was again the sort of the start. And actually, my little brother, who sort of like this too, a little bit, 2 years younger than me, he actually bought. There's one right here. It's Duluth East. And if you are a nerd about the movies, you might be able to see that Duluth East is the team that Gordon Bombay misses that penalty shot against.
Mm.
And Duluth is where I'm from originally, and I went to high school at Duluth East. So that was kind of a really cool jersey of like, that's literally us, right? That's the team where we're from, where I grew up. So my little brother bought that one, Carson, and he sort of kind of got me going along of like, oh, I can probably find some of these other ones too if I look hard enough.
It's amazing that these exist and that there is in a box somewhere is probably, tons that, are not out there. I mean, do you know how they started to become released into the wild, so to speak?
I don't. I've done enough research to know it was kind of a dump in 2009, whether that was done just on purpose or to clean out a warehouse. But that was when a lot of them sort of were dispersed. And from that point on, it's been sort of slim pickings in terms of, tracking those people down. I can tell you it's not easy. It's probably one of the funner parts of the hobby, though, is just looking around. Some people, they react a little differently and they say, how did you get my email kind of stuff? But I think it's all in good fun.
Completely. And I mean, from being in the UK, as pretty much, I think I'd go out there and say that I imagine that I probably have the only ones in the UK. I mean, I will get onto that a bit later because it was a struggle to get these into the country. All done legally, I will add, but it was difficult. But I have times where I've been like emailing you or, emailing other people, and it will be like 2-3 in the morning here, but I feel like I'm like a detective on a hot lead and I'm so close to like bagging a jersey. I can't go to sleep. Like I've got to keep going back and forth. But saying about 2009, so I've got one here that I think is probably the rarest one to me, but ironically, the one that I like the least, if we're just going to get personal about it. Hang on. This one. Oh, there we go. This is Goldberg's D5 jersey from D1 from the first movie, and I've never seen any of the D5 jerseys besides this one, like online. But the reason I'm bringing this one up right now is because this one was auctioned on, I think it's called Leland's, which is like a sports auction site, in 2002, which is crazy because it was early, and then someone's had it for years, and then I managed to get it off of them earlier this year. But this one, I don't know why I like the least. I think it's because D2 was my favorite of the three, maybe. So one day I could be convinced to let this one part ways. But
well, that's funny you say that. I might know someone who might be interested.
Is it you?
It could be, yeah. Yeah, you have the quality, not quantity. I suppose I have a lot, but you got the heavy hitters, and that one is super cool.
Wow, thank you. Well, let's talk about some of your other ones. So, firstly, the Eden Warriors, the wall hanging there, is that authentic?
It's actually, again, a local company. They're out of Edina, which, again, the Mighty Duck nerds might remember. That's where Adam Banks is from. It's called Beauty Status Hockey, and they. I met the founder of it actually at the Minnesota State High School Hockey Tournament when I met a lot of the cast of the Mighty Ducks. And there's actually one right here, which is the Hawks, and I have one over here. I don't want to mess up the camera, but is the D5 and signed by a decent amount of cast members. But that is, again, the Eden Hall, obviously, and there's another jersey below it, but we got, again, the heavy hitters up here. But it's, those are the kind of things I like, and it's not expensive. It's just sort of a fun way to remember and sort of keep it alive.
Completely. So let's talk about some of the collection there. So what who else? So the Goldberg one that's behind you, that one you actually got from me, which is partly how we connected. But in you getting that jersey from me, you hooked me up with me being able to get this tracksuit, which is the Team USA tracksuit from D2, and this one's actually Fulton Reed's, which is awesome because I thought, oh, here's like, because I'm like 6'2", like a pretty big guy. And I was like, oh, well, here's the big guy on the team. But in reality, in real life, he's like 5'6", 5'7".
He looked like a big guy when he was young, right?
Yeah, well, they always staged him with like the camera looking up and to try and make him look bigger. And then I was concerned that, oh, this isn't going to fit. This is going to be too small, because I wanted to have something that I could sort of wear around the house, because these ones are all framed. But as I was saying to you off camera just before this, they're actually like, God bless the 90s and the baggy style, because they actually come up quite big. So
it worked out perfect.
Yeah. And so is that the only jersey you have from D3? Or no, the blue and green one there is from D3 as well, right?
Yeah, and there is a Gaffney jersey I actually got after the fact. It's in a frame, so I couldn't put it up here, but it is again, similar D3 Warriors jersey. I got that after the Goldberg. My original idea was to get one of each, which I think is still a pretty lofty goal, but we'll find out. But yes, they have the Blake Bears, which is a real school here. Eden Hall is sort of a mash between two real schools of Eden Prairie and Cretin-Durham Hall, in case you're wondering. But I ended up getting the Luis Mendoza, I think it's a stunt doubles practice jersey. Again, the team, the Blake Bears, that the JV blows the lead against, and they end up tying, if you recall that. And then to my right here, I mentioned the Duluth East jersey, and then the original Hawks, or well, not Bombay Hawks, but the one that you have too, Mcgill in the back. This is Stickler number 99, which I hear was one of the prototypes they made, but still cool nonetheless to me.
Well, so as you mentioned, I've got McGill's Hawks jersey here, and it is maybe my favorite jersey, and I actually get upset sometimes. Not upset, I mean, there's worse things in the world to be upset about, but upset in my own mind that it's framed, because I want to wear it just around the house. I'm not like going to go to the supermarket wearing this stuff. Maybe one day, but it does upset me that it's framed sometimes. Like, I like the presentation, but I'd love to, because the quality on these jerseys are really good as well.
Oh yeah.
They really hold up.
And like you said, I actually wore the Hawks jersey when I met the Ducks cast, and they sort of looked at me kind of like, oh, this guy's a goofy. But then I told them it's a real one, and I got it from so and so, and they know you, and it was sort of like, and it was funny. Adam Banks, or Vince, his eyes sort of lit up, and he's like, oh, that is a real one. Wow, cool. And he kind of looked at me like, oh yeah, he gets it, and he enjoys it. And I still think they probably thought I was a goofball, but it was a fun interaction, and they enjoyed it.
I don't think they would have thought that. I know that Scott White, who played Gunnar Stool, and then he played, I've forgotten his name, in D3. Scott.
Yeah, the goalie. Yep.
Yeah. So I know that he is a prop collector. He collects these himself, and I know that. So again, because this is this small circle of prop collectors, he recently purchased the Team USA Goldberg helmet, and I know the person that he bought it off, because I was considering it myself, but as you would know, the price tag on that one was pretty through the roof. So yeah, I'm sure that, if anything, I'm sure they're just thrilled that you're dedicated to the movie, and probably jealous that they still don't have their own jersey themselves.
That could be too.
Well, talk us through what else you've got. A baseball cap there. What's that from?
Yeah, a couple of those just random companies that made the reproductions. Got an Eden Hall Warriors above that. Got a Hawks one. Actually a mini Haha Waves, which is over there. and then an Eden Hall Ducks that a company made called Bring Back Hockey a really long time ago. I just sort of recently looked into kind of getting some of those that, they're not crazy expensive, sort of a cool thing to have, and sort of a funny way to start a conversation for the handful of people that get the reference and they nod and they like it.
I think that's it. I think that people that know, and people that don't, it's just going to go past them anyway. So I've had people that these films were so successful and have trickled into so many different facets of life that they're a great way to have a conversation with someone. If you're like, oh, have you seen the Mighty Ducks? Yeah, they instantly get it. I think it's just one of those beloved movie franchises. But
yeah, and exactly. Funny you say that. So I went to the University of Minnesota, again, where I'm from, in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, and I wore one of these jerseys to a Gopher hockey game. And I got on the Jumbotron, ironic enough, so that was kind of fun. But following that, a guy came up to me and he said, "Hey, I really like your jersey." I said, "Thanks." And we just kind of talked, and he said, "I was the stunt double for Charlie Conway and Gordon Bombay in the second movie." And this guy is just saying, "Hey, I really like that you have that. Is it from the movie? Is it worn there?" And he said, "Yeah." And he kind of just opened up and just started talking about his experience and what it was like to be a part of the movie actually. And he said the scene where the Iceland coach takes out Gordon Bombay's knee, he said, "That's me. That was me," where he hit my knee, not Emilio Estevez. So it was just a little interaction that I had, but it all started because he saw and he knew that this kid likes it. He knows the movies, and he'd appreciate this.
That's awesome, and that's one of my favorite scenes in D2 is the whole having to hit the free posts. And when you watch it again, and if you like have specifically if you have like the Blu-ray or a real HD version, you can very easily tell that that's the stunt double. So he's probably actually really quite visible in the movie now in HD.
Yeah, it goes over your head as a kid, but as an adult, you kind of like, well, they probably could have done that better, but it's not a big deal.
Yeah, completely. Well, just to give some context to the other two that I have behind me, in case people are interested. So this is my favorite one, which is Goldberg's Team USA jersey. What I love about this one, I always loved the Team USA stuff as a kid, but I always loved the Hendrix patch on it. And it's quite rare to find these Team USA jerseys with the patch still on. So I know that each of the cast members had 2 of these Team USA jerseys. And I've actually seen pictures of the other Goldberg jersey, which doesn't have the patch on. Something that, part of the thrill, dare I say, that I love about this is when you get the jersey, is then I get into this mode of freeze framing on the Blu-ray to match it up. And there's certain things on the jerseys you can use. So on the Team USA ones, you've got these 2 stars on the back. But on each jersey, the stars are in slightly different positions. So then,
yes, they are. Yep. Keep going.
So then, from the 2 Goldberg jerseys, from the position of the stars, I was able to tell like which scenes or which games that jersey was used in, and I love all of that. So I was able to know that this jersey was used in the 2 Iceland games, the final, and then the first half of the final, and then the first time they play Iceland. And then the other Goldberg jersey was used in like the game when they play Italy. And yeah, like I love that part of it. Again, I get sad sometimes that this is framed because it's awesome. I did like take some pictures when I first got it of me just like holding my dog in it and thinking.
It's very funny. I'll get through these in a second here. But it's so funny you say that because very recently I had the movie again on DVD Blu-ray, so I was able to pause it, and I'll spoil it. I have Jesse Hall's USA jersey, and I was able to identify exactly right. You're talking about the stars, and the other jerseys are really hard to do that with because there's no very unique stitch here or something. But the USA, the stars are just slightly different, and I figured out it's the USA jersey where he does the flying V, and you know, in all these, you know, kind of cool scenes where you can see and you can screen match it, you know, he's wearing that one. And oddly enough, I haven't washed it or anything, which is maybe some little bit gross, but you can see kind of the sweat marks on it still too, which is, yeah, equally as cool and a little like, but it's good stuff.
I love that. I love that. Well, and that actually perfectly brings me on to my other jersey here, which I have is Averman's D2. Well, this one I really love as well, but this one, like you said, it was very hard to screen match because there's nothing about it that really sticks out. I went to the extent of going through all of the lettering, because the lettering's slightly different, like the gaps in the R in like the sort of circle at the top. And I was going through it, but there's no real way to determine the difference between whether it was a stunt double or whether it was his authentic one. And I had a certificate of authenticity, but it wasn't from Sports Robe. It was like it had been bought from Sports Robe by like a prop store, and then they'd replaced the COA with their own one, so on and so forth. So I went through this whole rabbit hole of contacting the production company, Sports Robe, trying to get them to authenticate it, so on and so forth. I eventually tracked down Matt Doherty himself, who played Averman, and we extensively went through the stitching on the inside of the jersey. So and we was able to authenticate that it definitely was one of them, but we didn't know whether it was his or the stunt doubles. So it's kind of hard to tell on that one. But the one saving grace on that is, even if it was the stunt doubles, it would have still been used in the movie, because there's a part where he gets body checked into the side of the rink, and that definitely would have had to have been a stunt double, because that's a man-sized check. But I mean, the other thing is, to do if you were to try and get a fake of these jerseys, so these ones you can't see on the camera, but they have like the CCM on the bottom, on the back, so they're a particular sort of brand. So that one was the one that took me down the biggest rabbit hole, but from that was able to start communicating with Matt Doherty. That's then turned into 2 podcast episodes, which is amazing. And then finally I got the tracksuit, which is never go in a frame because it's too much fun to wear. So that is the extent of my collection. Let's delve into the extent of yours, because you've got some that are on my forever wish list.
And again, we'll preface, you have the quality there and the big names. I originally started as kind of quantity, but I'm getting a couple that are, you know, the bigger names, and it's a lot of fun. So you saw the Iceland jerseys. I have them kind of to the side here. For those of you may be able to recognize, this is the mini haha waves. It's just again a random. I think I was able to see this player. I can't tell if it's this jersey or not, but Simon, like you said, there are the certain markings you kind of look for, the certain things that, you know, when I bought this jersey, nobody was making fakes, but, you know, again, if you can make enough money, someone will, so you got to keep your eye out for that. Next there, this I actually got fairly recently, maybe a couple of years ago now. This is Team Germany's jersey. On this one, the patch did fall off. You can see where it was, but it's number 22. This one, I really like how the jersey looks. It's just a cool jersey. It's a cool patch. You know, it's one of those that, again, most people wouldn't realize it's from the Mighty Ducks, but you know, there'll be a couple that will, and for me, that's kind of what it's all about. This one is one of my favorites now. I just got this one, so the timing of this was impeccable. Some people may be able to recognize this one.
Is it Gaffney? Yeah, I was going to say it's from it's D2 when they first meet up, is it?
When they're all introduced, yeah. So she's wearing this. Luis Mendoza's got a South Miami. Portman's got the Morgan Park. Both of those, they're up there on the list. We'll see if that's realistic or not. But this one was one that I was able to find, and I think it's just so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then we're winding down here, but this is, again, one of my favorite jerseys. This is Jesse Hall's, similar to your Goldberg jersey, but like you said, it does not have the Hendricks patch. But the thing to sort of look at is to see, I don't know if the camera is good enough there to see, but you can tell the outline of where it was, which obviously is a good thing to know that it was on there at some point. It's very faint, but Simon, exactly what you said. Matching up the stars is how I was able to identify that this was a jersey used in a couple of the scenes there in the Iceland game, and I don't think it was in Trinidad if I remember correctly, but was when he did the flying V and kind of these cool scenes that I was able to again identify and see. This one, like you said, I've probably worn that one most than any other. This other one I have worn a lot. It's just really, really big. And this was my, we'll say my grail for the longest time. But this is the Trinidad and Tobago jersey. You can tell it's old because the blue is actually starting to fade out a little bit. You just have the red and the yellow. It used to be super vibrant with blue, but time, everyone gets older, right, Simon? But this one is, it's so big. It might fit you better actually, but comically big on me. But it's still one of the jerseys that I think it's probably my favorite. And you can see, just the tie-dye. It's tough to beat that one.
That's the one. That's the one I want so bad. And there's, have you heard of the website called Worthpoint?
Yes.
So
I've done too much research on there.
Yeah, right. Same. Right. So there's so many, there's this website called Worthpoint, and it basically shows you where things have been sold and auctioned off, like on eBay, but also on other sites. And it keeps it sort of historically recorded in there. So it shows a lot of when those jerseys were all sold in 2009. And some of those like Trinidad ones I'd seen on there sold for like $40, like stuff that and now they would sell for so much more. I mean, it's probably an interesting point to say. Well, firstly, what an amazing collection. Like how
I hope it's not done. We'll see.
I'm sure it's not. I mean, I would ask you where you managed to find this stuff, but I won't, because then you'll suddenly have competition from anyone watching or listening this to try.
I can say it's no mystery. It's just on the internet. It's sort of funny that that we met through the internet, just looking at different sites, and there's enough forums here and there, but just looking, just Googling, trying to find, again, things you like. I've sort of gotten to the point where, I just want one of each. And I got the Goldberg from you, which has turned out to be, an awesome friendship here. But was able to get another Gaffney just sort of by chance. So, those are the ones that if someone else likes it and they, appreciate it, I'm not one to hoard jerseys and say, everything's mine. To me, it's kind of about the camaraderie, and someone else likes it, someone else, appreciates it. And, again, my sort of pipe dream has been to get one of each, and we'll see if that happens. But along the way, it's been awesome just meeting people from literally all over the world, which is a little mind-boggling to me, because the movies were in Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota. It was kind of like the local movie, right? But, talking to you and in the UK and talking to people in Australia and Germany and all over the place, it's wild.
Yeah, it's great. I love that as well. And I think it's a part of me wanting sort of selling that jersey to you as well. And what other people have said when I've bought the jerseys off of them have been like, they almost vet you out a little bit to make sure that it's going to like a righteous home, and that it's not someone that's just going to get it to then sell it on for more money or anything like that. It's like, it kind of has to, you have to have that badge of honor of being a true fan. Right.
And, it's one thing. Yeah. I mean, money's involved, collecting, and everyone has to sell maybe eventually. But you're exactly right. It's kind of like you want someone to enjoy it and not to, hopefully make more money off of it. I've mentally sort of realized, hey, I'm not going to make money off of this. So when I lose money, I won't feel bad. Kind of that mantra, but enjoying it along the way, I think is what it's all about.
Completely. I mean, this may sound crazy, but and a sign of age perhaps, but I had to write my will and testament a few months ago, and I've literally left these jerseys to some of my closest friends.
That's very responsible of you. I like it.
It was interesting telling, the broker or the person writing the will. I was like, I have some specific jerseys that are very important that need
you got to carve those out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, a couple more questions before I let you go. I mean, so I'm married, and I have to sometimes alert my wife to the fact that there's a jersey coming that's going to be framed and put in our house somewhere. And but she understands, like, she's cool with it. Like, how do people in your life react when they find out that you are, a mass collector of Mighty Ducks jerseys?
I mean, some people laugh, most people laugh, but they sort of know now it comes with the territory. And I started with Mighty Ducks, and frankly, that's kind of my core collection, something that, if nothing else, I have to sell everything else. That's probably what I would like to have still. I've collected a few other sports memorabilia, movies, like Friday Night Lights, like Waterboy, Any Given Sunday, just things that, again, I really like football too, or I should say American football. So like those, but, to me, it's just collecting something that, I enjoy. And again, the Mighty Ducks it was the beginning of that, and probably will be, the end of it. But it is funny. You sort of have to preface, hey, I found a jersey. I might look at buying it. It's not really permission, but I'm just putting that out there in case you want to comment. So again, it's sort of like my friends think I'm kind of goofy, but it's again something I enjoy, and it's a way to connect with people, and that's why I'm sitting here today.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more. Now you've mentioned those other ones, I know that people will be interested. What, obviously gonna have to show us, but what stuff do you have from the other movies, like The Waterboy, Friday Night Lights? Like, what bits do you have from there?
So the collection started and sort of morphed, obviously. So the Mighty Ducks, the reason why I really liked it was because it's a Minnesota movie, quote unquote. They go to LA, they go all over the place, but it was kind of what I am, who I am. So there's a couple other movies that have Minnesota teams, like Any Given Sunday, the Minnesota Americans. I have a couple of those jerseys, and then the Miami Sharks. I have Friday Night Lights. I just, again, really like football. They're actually right here. If you want me to get them, I can.
Yeah, let's do it. I already like Friday Night Lights as well.
Okay, so again, this is deviating a little bit from we'll say jersey, but not really, because the jerseys are in that closet over there. But 1 second here. So if this looks familiar.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is Comer, the running back. This is his screen-worn helmet.
Wait, so are we talking about the movie or the TV show?
This is the movie. The TV show is similar. The blue helmets. This is the movie. This is the Permian Panthers. And 1 second here.
That's awesome.
This one is probably my favorite. This is the Nemesis team, the Carter Cowboys. Do you remember? They're kind of the mean team, the dirty team. And I have now all of the other opponents in the Friday Night Lights movie. The Rebels, every Cooper, every team that they play, similar to the Mighty Ducks, which the Mighty Ducks is just a lot harder to do that because there's not as many players on the team.
This is awesome. What have you got from the Waterboy?
So far, that is just one of the, I could grab it, just one of the practice jerseys. And I did watch the movie recently because it was on TV, and I did see that it was on there. It's number 76. It's just an extra. But before they got the cool jerseys, they had those, really ugly orange ones.
Right. They're like the D5 version, I guess.
They are like the D5 before they got sponsored and, all the money poured in.
But, there's one on eBay right now from the Waterboy. I don't know if you're aware, like with the actual, the next stage.
Oh, really? Well, that's
Yeah,
maybe something I'll have to look into right now.
yeah. It's
Or when we're done here. Yeah, right.
I have so I mean, I don't know about you. Again, this is probably a good tip for collectors, or if we're inspiring more people to start collecting, which hopefully we don't, because that's going to narrow our window. But there's I have like Google alerts set up, and on eBay you can have alerts set up so that you just get an email if something comes up like Mighty Ducks screen worn, Mighty Ducks whatever, and that is a really important thing to have, because there's so many that you can miss otherwise. So I'd recommend that.
Exactly. And the trick is now, the original D5, or, some of the ones that are obviously from the movie, those aren't going to go under the radar. They're, as of now, they're going to be on big auction sites, and they're going to, people might even write an article about it. But the trick is, for some of these other ones, what do I type in? Trinidad and Tobago, the chances of that hitting, or, Germany, for example, the other kind of niche, obscure, and so in the D1 movie, the original Mighty Ducks, all the opponents that they play to, I've sort of looked into that, missed out on a couple, but they're just so random that, even if someone's selling it, they may not know that it's from the movie, or they may not know, how to put that in the description. So, people like us would find it. And I think that's part of the challenge too, is it's not easy to find these. And sort of when you do, you kind of got to finesse and finagle, and hopefully you can get one.
Yeah, completely. And that's so true, because the three that are behind me are actually all from the same person. So I didn't buy them at the same time, but two of them were online for a long time, and I had my eye on them for a while, and then had this whole back and forth. It was such a long story. I'll cut it very short. But to get those jerseys in, I had to create an American eBay account, because it wouldn't allow me to message this person through a UK eBay account. I had to then do all different things with addresses, etc. The person wouldn't then ship it out of the country, so I had to have it shipped to an American friend that I have in Portland. Had to be shipped to him, and then it all got, like, for a minute, it's almost like it was lost in the mail, like, or was going the wrong place. It's this horrible moment, and then he had to basically send it to me. It was just a whole hassle to get it sent over the border. And then when they finally came, it was such like a hallelujah moment. But,
it's a relief. It really is.
And then when you finally get them, and you can sit and, like, you sort of ran upstairs like an excited kid on at Christmas or something, to then try and screen match it. You're also into Little Giants, right?
Yes, I have. That was another movie that hit it kind of at that same time. And again, I told you, I really like football. I played it my whole life. But that was one where, they had professionals, kind of like the Mighty Ducks, where they had Mike Modano, and Wayne Gretzky was in it. They had, again, Emmett Smith was in the Little Giants, and all these, again, players that I knew, and with a bunch of ragtag kids. And that was the funny thing about 90s movies, and the reason why I really like your podcast is all of those movies, they're so predictable. It's never like you have a doubt. It's like, well, what if the Mighty Ducks lose? It's like, well, they're not, so don't worry about it. But they're so predictable, but you can watch them over and over again, and they still hit the same, and they're just great.
Completely. I agree. It's also such just a nostalgic era for just that uplifting films that, like you said, you can just watch over and over again. I mean, for Little Giants, as you know, I've asked personally now, Marcus, Sean, who played Icebox, and Jake, Todd, that played Jake, and asked them all about their jerseys, and they all have them still. But
cool.
So all the actors were given the jerseys. So I think they're going to be pretty hard to find unless we can, convince them to part with them.
And I will say, I really like the helmets I have, but I would have to say a Little Giants and a Cowboys helmet. I think that would, for me anyway, that would be on top of what the Friday Night Lights, just as a preference. Again, I don't know if that's possible, but you never know.
Two sad ones that I got into this prop collecting about probably 2 years ago now, so a bit late to the game really, but there were some great ones that I missed. So Icebox's helmet that's got like the skull on it that goes with the go-kart.
Oh yeah.
That one was on eBay a few years ago. Missed that one, and then
that means I missed it too. So
right, yeah, unless you have it back there. But the
no, I don't.
also so this is not a sports movie, but a 90s movie that I love is Free Willy. I love that movie.
That's a classic.
There's like a tribal little model of a whale that he has in the movie that he sort of, I don't know, it's just symbolic of the film, and that was for sale on eBay, and I missed that as well.
Huh. One of those non-sports movies, Three Ninjas was one that I think if I found those masks they wear, I'd lose it, and that would be another huge one. So
You mean masks like this?
oh no.
They're not the actual ones. They're replicas.
Those are great though. Oh man, that's hilarious. I did not know that was coming, so that's perfect.
Well, I also, yeah, so I don't know. I was away from the microphones. I don't know if you heard. Those aren't the real ones.
Yeah, but I mean, it's still awesome.
Well, it's funny that you say that because, well, and again, you don't know this, but we just recorded a Three Ninjas episode with Kate Sargent, who played Emily.
Of course you did.
It's probably that one. Well, we'll see. This one's turning out amazing, so I'm enjoying this one. That's probably our favorite episode so far. And it was at one point very close that we were going to be joined by Kate, who played Emily, and by Max, who played Colt. It was very close.
And I was Colt in my family, so like, I love the Ducks because it was Minnesota. I have two brothers. I was the middle, so we were like the Three Ninjas, and my older brother Rocky, I was Colt, and my little brother was Tom Tom. So that was another little.
That's so
you always relate to those, right? That's what it's all about.
Completely. Well, that's so funny because Dom, who I do the podcast with, he was Tum Tum and I was Rocky. We never had a Colt, so you could come in and be. But yeah, those masks. But also, what I would really want as the ultimate prop is the like the punching bag model. Light up the.
I know exactly where it lights the eyes.
Yeah, I want that. Just hanging in my garage, like.
You can hang that in your office somewhere. You can figure out a spot for it.
Hanging here, yeah.
Exactly. There you go.
Well, I've got a couple more. Let's just continue. We're on a good roll.
This is a lot of fun.
A random one I have a pair of Adam Sandler's shoes, which is very strange. I have a whole outfit of his from the movie Just Go With It, which was in like 2011. So it's not a 90s movie or anything like that. But I grew up loving Adam Sandler movies like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison.
Oh yeah.
And I wanted something, and there was a whole outfit on there that was like a jacket that's like a proper jacket that you could wear out and like no one's gonna know, and a pair of shoes and a shirt and a button-up shirt. And so I bought them, and these have super official COAs with them, from where are they from? I've got something up here. I think from Paramount or something like that, under the Happy Madison company. And I didn't tell anyone I had them except for my wife. And I've been out to dinner with friends and things just wearing Adam Sandler.
It's a little less obvious than wearing a Ducks jersey. It's kind of like, oh, it's sort of a nice jacket, but it's got a cool story too.
Yeah, I love it. And then sometimes I could just say to one of my friends and be like, oh, by the way, this is Adam Sandler's jacket. Like
just so you know. And it's funny you say with Adam Sandler movies. I mean, they were huge now and when we were younger. But I always liked jerseys in movies like that too. Granted, it'd probably be way too much money and impossible to find. But the Boston Bruins jersey he wears in Happy Gilmore. The Waterboy. That's a little bit more. There's a lot more jerseys from it, but. Those are kind of things that I always thought was cool, is just the, sort of iconic pieces that you sort of recognize, and in all of those movies that, you might say, hey, that's a Chicago Blackhawks jersey from, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And, it's just to me, jerseys have been just a fun thing to collect, and well, why not keep going?
Completely. I mean, the only other ones or props or things that I have is from One Tree Hill. Now, this is always an odd one.
And they have jerseys in that one too. That would be a cool one to find.
Oh man, I look all of the time, but so that show is really special to me because I'm really into basketball as a player, and then I did coaching for the Special Olympics as well. And yeah, so I watched that show when I was 23, 24, and I wasn't into basketball before that, and then started playing because I was inspired by the show, and it actually changed my career. Dare I say, One Tree Hill changed my life, but because of that, it holds a lot of weight. So I've always trying to find things from it. So I do have two things from it. I actually have right here, just coincidentally, because it's under my desk.
There you go.
I have this. It's a little weird if you don't know, but this is.
Oh, that's great. Yep.
It's the basketball bag that Nathan uses in the show, as he's like a basketball player. But I actually have two of them. I have this one and one from a team later. But again, this is awesome because no one knows that is from that, and I just use it as my basketball bag for when I go and play basketball. I think they're some of my favorite things where you can like incorporate the prop into your everyday life, and no one knows but you, but it sort of gives you a little internal smile when you look at it, like, oh yeah.
And then you get a few people that they recognize it and they're like, hey, I like that. That's cool. That's really cool. And that's what it's all about, I think.
Completely.
And like I said, if I find anything from One Tree Hill, you're the first to know. And the next Trinidad and Tobago jersey I find, you'll be the first to know too. So that's what it's all about.
Well, I fully appreciate that. And the same with any jerseys or any Little Giants things that come up, I for sure will let you know. And please, people that are watching or listening, please reach out to Connor or I if you see anything that you think we might be interested in, or if you want any tips or help, like trying to authenticate any items that we can try and help with in terms of, whether we think it's authentic or not. Not to say that we're experts, but well, Connor, you pretty much are an expert.
Well, not me, but I have a handful of things now to check it against, so that makes it a little easier.
Right, exactly. And as you said, it's all part of the sort of prop collecting culture, and it's a great hobby. So I'd fully recommend people getting involved in it. Just before you go, Connor, is there any? We're recording this previous to our interview with Matt Doherty later. I know you've already met him, but is there any questions you want we can ask him for you?
It's sort of funny. With some of those movies like The Little Giants, like The Mighty Ducks, I feel like I know him. Like I feel like I already know him. He doesn't really know me. But to me, I wonder, does he really know the impact that his acting had, to however many kids that are now adults? I'm guessing as people like us are having kids, they're maybe forcing those movies on their kids because they're like, hey, I like it, you probably like it too. How does that feel to be a part of something, frankly, that's as big as it was, to create an NHL team, to have that start, and then now have sort of this legacy of people knowing, hey, that's Averman, and similar to other actors who get they're typecast as the one role they had. Maybe that's frustrating, I guess, but how is that now as an adult? And is there anything you'd change, or is that sort of the hope is that you can create something so special that it lasts generations?
That's a great question. I will be sure to ask that. I probably won't be able to ask it as eloquently as you just put it, but I definitely will ask. Yeah, because exactly what you just said, that do you have any idea the impact something you do when you're 12, 14, 16 years old over this trilogy of movies that now 25 plus years later we're still talking about? and is still having, you know, such an impact. And now that Disney Plus are bringing out the Mighty Ducks TV show, I mean, how do you feel about that?
You know, I feel like the next generation, they deserve like something like it. A part of me, you know, when something is sort of reopened or you know, something else is created, it could overshadow or, you know, not live up to expectations. That's all fine to me, because it's just another, you know, way for kids now. You know, this is their show. You know, this is what they can sort of grow up and obviously have some commonality where, you know, if I watch it, I get it. I understand the, you know, the characters that I saw, the old characters, here are the new characters, and you know, it's one of those things where it's fun for that to, again, jump another generation and get another big buzz out of it.
Yeah, and it's interesting to think that in 25 years from now, let's say, and let's say that the show is a success, are there going to be people like us that are then, you know, hunting these jerseys out? Because it almost feels like it's a bit of a time capsule in terms, and a special time that, say, pre the 90s, yes, of course, there were sports films, etc., but they weren't in this sort of era of kids' sports films and so on. And then
Right.
you've got these in the 90s, and you've got sports films in the early 2000s, but they're not quite the same. It's like it's a special time in history, I think.
They had kind of like an eight-year window where they packed them all in. You know, you got the Big Green, you got Little Giants, you got Mighty Ducks. You know, you got every sport in there, and you know, again, they're predictable. We know that, but you know, somehow you can still watch them now, and you know, feel like you're a kid again.
Completely. Well, thank you so much for your time. So once again, check out the Instagram page, Jersey Chasing, or put the link in the description. Connor, you've been awesome. This was so much fun. We'll have to do this again when we eventually cover D3, and we can catch up with you and see what jerseys you've got by that point.
Yeah, hopefully I have more to share with you guys. And in the meantime, again, thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast, and I'm so glad we met. Hopefully you have a fun time with Averman later.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, man. I really appreciate it. And here we edit out. It's the power of Hollywood, man.
That's some magic, man. That's some Wayne's World things right there.
Pretty much. So that was me and Connor.
I'm flabbergasted that I feel like So there's some questions. Is that what I'm suspecting?
Oh yeah, many. I mean,
Connor specifically. I kind of want to know, is there a question from Connor specifically?
There is. Do you want to start with that one?
I kind of want to know what this guy has to say. Yeah.
I'm going to do a really bad job of relaying it because he was very particular and eloquent about how he put it together. When you made the movie, did you have any idea of the impact that it was going to have and the staying power it was going to have? And did you feel like it, you know, defined you?
Basically. Are we talking about specifically Ducks 1 or Ducks 2?
I think he's talking about the whole trilogy.
Yeah. Okay. Go. No, not at all. First of all, I was like 14. I was 15 years old. So there's that. I mean, then it's all just about like juggling the like confluence of, you still kind of want to play with toys and video games, and there's girls. So it's like this, like, and then you want to like read a book, and you got zits. So it's like, and your voice is changing. It's like that, right? You know, like, but I kind of like G.I. Joe still. And it's like, you know, it's like all that stuff all at once, right? So the idea of throwing in huge things like, did I think that? No. That being said, I think I might have shared this story with you before, Simon, but like that when I woke up during cartoons or something on a Saturday, and my dad was like, "Hey, come downstairs," and it was cartoon shit on and all that stuff, and there was a news, and we flipped the channels, and it was like a cable box, you know, and they were like announcing that they were gonna have a hockey team, and that was a moment where I was like, wow, there's a hockey team, and this is like, I guess they're making a second film. I guess this and I mean that moment I think is like when I was like, oh wow, this is a. I mean, I don't think anybody realized. I mean, it was scheduled for an October release. So when a film was released in October at that point, it meant it wasn't exactly when a studio had to be like, maybe we'll make our money back. And they didn't spend a lot of money on promotion. It just kind of had that word of mouth thing. So I don't think anyone knew at all. And but everything about that was like that. I mean, if you go back to the beginning parts, like the script was written, and then like this record amount of time we were in production, which I think Jordan, one of the producers, would talk about way more eloquently than I would. It's like they were literally, the fact that they were on production like months after the script had been turned in was unheard of. So like everything about it was a little bit like that. So it's kind of like the Ducks. We're a little bit like, nobody counted us in, but that one team got the measles, so we got into the playoffs. But yeah, and I think when we were in Ducks 2, which is what we're talking about, right? And then that day when we were at the pond, which is when it was called the pond, where the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim played, before it was even open, and we had packed the joint for like 2 days with like 12,000 people that just shown up to be in the film, and for that last game against Iceland, right? That was a moment where I was like, oh wow. But it was also surreal, man. You're just 15 years old, looks 9. So our life's already difficult. I'm in high school and I play 10-year-olds, I'm like, it's I don't think I knew. And I think all that stuff comes afterwards.
So when they decided D2 was going to happen, this is something, obviously you don't audition or anything because it's, you obviously are going on from D1, but some of the Ducks didn't make it into D2. Like were you, at what point did you find out that you were going to be one of the Ducks that made it through to the second movie?
Hey man, I don't know. That sounds like that was a management. What do professional athletes say? That's a management decision above my pay grade, right? I mean, in a weird way, it is kind of accurate though. There's decisions that get made for the benefit of the team that are not have anything to do with the individual players, and it's a business. And unfortunately, we were also kids, and I'm sure there's only so many people you can feature in a film and have them not get lost, right? I mean, in reality, I think they focus on like 13 of us or something like that, or 12. And like a reality, a hockey team would have 3 full lines, and it'd be more than that, right? So, so I think I'm sure there was some math about how do we get all these different cultures represented? How do we do this? How do we have not 4 funny people? How do we have above my pay grade, man? It was weird, and then I was like, when the movie kind of reflected that, where there were the new guys, and then we were like, hey, wait, we went to school together last year, and then, but like anything, man, once you start playing hockey and training together, which is what we do before we would shoot the movie, like there was the sense that we were all just the same, and then we went to school together, so it was like we were family.
Awesome. And then when you heard or got the script and found out what the story was about for D2 and how it was on, such a bigger stage than D1, and it was, this international competition is us against the world, dare I quote, that you were you excited about that premise of it being like bigger and grander?
Oh, wow. I mean, like in the script, it had mentioned Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Wayne Gretzky, and we had heard rumors that the director had worked with Michael J. Fox and that he might be on set one day. And he was is one of my personal heroes. And cause he had directed bunches of episodes of the Family Ties show that Michael J. Fox was on. And that and we would meet Christy Yamaguchi and we would just, it was nuts. It was like, which is interesting because that's what the film was about, which is like you get what you want, which is why I think it's so awesome, because it's about growing up where you have to watch out for the trappings of success, right? And which is what Gordon falls into, right? And I just thought all of it, like we get to go on this adventure into Beverly Hills and go and like, which is that scene that Mark Maron was in, who got cut out. Like there was a whole scene when we went to where the girls are showing the dresses and we're pretending we're rich, you know, and it's that great song and we're like, and Sean and Goldberg's like doing, and we're having a fun time. Like right before that was the scene that Mark Maron was the Mark Maron, right? Was a valet. It was his Screen Actors Guild debut, and
Wow.
yeah, and because he was good friends with Steve Brill, who wrote it. They were roommates at one point, and he gave his buddy his his SAG card, and I guess he was so nervous. Mark tells a story that like Steve pulled him aside and was like, "Dude, come on, you're scaring the ducks." So because they had to cut it out, it was, But I mean, it was like all of that stuff. I mean, it was so huge. You read the script and you're like, I can't believe we're gonna rollerblade down a hill, right? What? So
I love all of that.
yeah, the best rollerblader in the world was the guy doing those tricks.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I wish got a brain that can't remember it, but so please forgive me on that part. But yeah.
Are you telling me it wasn't Simon's imaginary friend from school that jumped over the construction workers?
That's his name.
It was actually me, guys. Okay.
I mean, it's nuts.
Sure.
Though. It is actually, the longer I get away from and watching movies every once in a while, it is kind of slowly crept up to being my favorite. But also because of the experiences were seminal in my life. Like I meet Steve Boyum, who was our second unit director, and he did all the hockey, and they were inventing like ways to shoot hockey and like with like sleds and they were just like welding stuff together, and then I find out that he was like this a stunt guy in Apocalypse Now, and like there was this, like I felt like I was touching cinematic history, and like there were more and more of these people that were like behind the scenes that had worked on like huge films, and then you hear the stories of like of all that. So to me, it's hard to separate the process of doing it as a teenager and being fortunate to be there and the end result. So
it must be quite I don't know what the right word would be, like powerful, or something to take on when you see people like that innovating and coming up with ideas and things that potentially change the way cinema operates and the way films are created and made, and their ideas that using a sled is probably much more advanced now, but it's still the same basic principle and things like that, and you kind of witness that firsthand, which is great.
It's the cool. It never gets old, man. It never gets old. The solutions that like that filmmaking is. And when you ask these questions, it makes me think of like, yeah, like what an experience. Like Michael Eisner comes down, who was president of Disney at the time, with a whole crew from Entertainment Tonight and all. They were all making a big deal about it because they had just bought a hockey team, and they were like, and they all show up because it was the big day where they had bunches of cameras and Bob, I think it was Bob Ross. What's his name? Bob Ross? No, that's the painter guy. The NHL Hall of Fame announcer for the Kings. He was there that day, and it was like, and so all of a sudden Michael Eisner standing in front of you and you're 16 and you're trying to do your algebra and in hockey gear. It's just strange, I was like, oh, he was like, what an experience, it's just to meet Wayne Gretzky, to all of it, and that's where I met Katie Irby, who was our coach, right? Our teacher. And she was involved in one of the great American theaters, the Steppenwolf in Chicago, which is like our version of like one of like the National or the one of the great theaters in London, right? And so I got through knowing her, I got to go backstage at the Steppenwolf. I got to meet Gary Sinise, and so to me, those experiences were huge in my life.
That's awesome. Well, you've made me think of something else. Have you ever heard the fan theory? And it just reminded me because she's Miss McKay, isn't it, in the movie? She's there to help Tibbles when he almost dies by getting the puck in the face.
Oh yeah,
right.
yeah.
Well, have you ever heard the theory that actually Tibbles is the devil, and Bombay signing with Hendricks is him signing his soul over to the devil, and then have you ever heard this fan theory?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what they're trying to connect to, which is like a motif in a lot of like Mephistopheles and Faustian. Yeah, he makes a Faustian deal for sure. It's been around for I think that's a very obvious, cool, but like kid-friendly version of like, you signed everything away to corporate, the temptation, right? You know, the thing you love.
That's the second word that I'm going to have to Google after this podcast that you've said. The first one you said in our last episode was the etymology of the word.
Yeah, and then I just used Mephistopheles in agreement. I think, it's from Faust, man.
You blow it. I'm a simple guy, man. Okay.
Yeah. Get your Goethe right. Get your Goethe right.
I'm out here watching Mighty Ducks movies at 32, Matt. Okay, I'm not.
Yeah, I know you're not growing up, dude. You're stuck. You're stuck in amber. It's right there.
Always.
So all of that, all of those experiences, you know, all of those, like meeting Ty O'Neill, who played, you know, cowboy, right? And Ty was a real cowboy, and his dad and his sister, his aunt was like one of the best cowboy people in the world, and like they would literally rope us to fucking hockey games, or you know, so it's like just and then the Sandlot guys, and meeting who are these Sandlot guys, and you know, all of it, you know.
And you got to work with Kenan Thompson. He's another hero of mine.
Right? I mean, Kenan shows up, and him and Sean and I were like, we're just one goof pod, you know. And then like Justin, like Kenny Woo, right?
Yeah.
And Justin was such a youngin' then, you know, and he was like, and then Aaron Lohr, you know, who had a substantial career on Broadway, and is a, you know, just a dear old long friend, and like it's just a crazy experience, you know. So
we've been very fortunate. You kicked off a wave for us. You were our first celebrity that we had on the podcast, and we've gone on a great run. You inspired a lot. We've had people like Shauna Waldron, he played Icebox in The Little Giants, and Raldy Lewis, he played Junior Bevel in Cool Run-Ins, and loads of other amazing people like yourself. We've been asking them this same question, which I wish we'd asked you on the first episode of the podcast, but as we have you back, we can ask you for both movies, or all three. How many times, roughly, would you say you have seen The Mighty Ducks 2?
Oh, wow. 10 maybe? 10, okay. 12 times? You know, probably around that, I'd say. I'm overdue. I'm overdue. Especially after this conversation, that makes me kind of want to watch it again. I mean,
when you have
just to see Julie the Cat Gaffney, you know, save the day, and Scott White, you know, who plays two characters, plays the guy in Ducks 2 and the guy in Ducks 3 when they change his hair, you know? Which is great. You never get away with that today.
What are you going to say, John?
When you've watched them, has it been led by someone going, "Yeah, let's watch this"?
Usually it's somebody hasn't watched it yet, or I don't sit around and go and like eat popcorn and like watch myself. It's you know, it's not like
I would.
I think you should. You definitely should.
I haven't. It's usually because somebody wants to watch it. Yeah, and then I'm like, yeah, and I'm getting a hand raise from across this room over here that you see off camera that she wants to watch it. So yeah, we'll probably watch it. Excellent. Well, maybe we'll watch out of order. Maybe we'll start with 2 because that's what we're talking about.
2's the best one. I mean, would of the 3, which would you say you've seen 2 the most?
I've seen 1 the most.
1.
Yes. I've seen 1 the most. There's been more events. And And they all hold up, man. Even three holds up. Yeah.
Even three.
Hey, man, three paid for college.
I love that. I love that. Well, that's an interesting point, actually. So this is another question that we
point. Yeah, go ahead.
This is another question that we've been asked. We ask people. So obviously, don't tell us any specifics or anything. But as these movies are coming back into rotation with Disney Plus and other streaming services, etc., and people that are like our age are showing it to their kids, etc., is this something where you start to see like a spike in the residual checks coming back in? You know, this is like healthy for
spike is not a very popular word these days. I'm saying coronavirus. I'm making a bad coronavirus joke, but
no, I like it.
Yeah. I usually that's delayed, like, but it does feel like it stays consistent. So like, it's crazy how many people watch those films still. We in the entertainment field, you know, if you make because we spend a lot of our time looking for work, right? And the union actors in the 70s made that huge, you know, union movement to allow us to get residual money, which was actually, I've met one of the actors who was involved in that, in the fight for that. And there's a joke, we call it mailbox money, because you just never know when it's going to come, and it just shows up in your mailbox. So, you know, you try not to depend upon it because you never know when it's going to be, but it's a nice, you know, other form of contingent income that has helped me stay afloat over the years. And times it's crazy. It's shown up at times in my life when I needed it the most, you know, because, you know, an artist life is, you know, any kind of freelance life is, you know, like that. And if you're listening out and you're in the creative field, you get that. And if you want to get in the creative field, you should understand that. It's weird how it shows up at wonderful times.
And it's something that I doubt will ever go away because they're such a staple.
Yeah, they're canonized, man. Yeah. There's people who show their kids, which you guys probably are well aware of. You know, it's like, it's nuts. I play hockey, and I'll see the kids when I play hockey at the adult, like they're the 12 and 10, and you know, and now there's going to be the TV show, which I'm sure it might have got delayed from the shutdown of production, but you know, that's just going to continue the story, right? And then I'm trying to help. I've been writing a piece similar about it and shopping it around. So yeah.
Love it. Well, that perfectly comes on to some of our listener questions. So we'll just go through some of these. So I put this out on Instagram and we had a great response. So Stereo Steve 86, what up, Steve? He says, which Sandlot character would you want to join the Mighty Ducks team in a hypothetical universe?
Oh, I think we got the two best, man. Yeah. No, it's like from a management GM position, and I've met those dudes. I know I've seen those guys at the Comic County things and all that stuff, and they are rough and tumble lot. They're like, I'm really glad like they didn't get Gordon Bombay, you know, they didn't. So I think we got the two. I think Mike and Brandon. That movie's brilliant. I'll take my hat off and go, that's a really great film. But I think we got the two we need.
Nice. I love that. Cake Eater 91, which is an ironic name, obviously, says, what does he think, he being you, Matt, the Ducks films was missing or didn't expand enough on?
Oh, wow. What do I think the Ducks films didn't expand on in terms of story? What was it?
He didn't say, but so yeah. Interpret as you will, as you'd like.
Well, the backstory of how Les and Dave Averman changed his name. I think we need an origin tale on that one.
I think it needs a separate movie, if I'm honest.
Exactly. Older. Yeah. Like Wolverine, you know, he got his own. So, or Logan, you know, we should make maybe like, you know, did I go into witness protection? Did I, you know, like where did that happen? So, no, I think the way I would answer that besides a joke is I do know that the original version of the film, which was called Bombay, of the first film, had leaned way more on like Gordon's lawyering and his like adulthood, kind of in that Bad News Bears or Fall from Grace way. So I know there was a whole bunch of story that wasn't maybe as kid friendly. So there's a version of this film that is not at all Disneyized, and which is really interesting. So then you would think the whole story would be like that. Yeah, I would say maybe inducts to a little more about what the teacher tries to teach us about teamwork and working together and what it means to be serving the country and all that stuff. Maybe that stuff.
Nice. Good answer. Colt's wife, which I think this is a reference to Three Ninjas of being the wife of Colt from Rocky, Colt and Tum Tum. You familiar, Matt?
I have no idea. I feel like you just spoke another language.
Yeah. You don't know the Three Ninjas? Hang on.
The Three Ninjas.
Three Ninjas.
I like to just keep this here.
Oh, that film. Oh, yeah. I got it. Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah.
That's Colt. That's.
Oh, I know that. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. So
well, his wife from Instagram asks.
The fictional character's wife has got in touch with us and said,
how do you feel about not filming a fourth Ducks movie?
How do I feel about not? I mean, I understand they wanted to do a TV show. Yeah, which is way better than nowadays. That's kind of where a lot of the money goes. And yeah, I don't know. Who knows if we're going to be in it? Who knows if it's going to come back with all production ending and so much has to happen to get started again. I'm assuming there'll probably be some form of connection, but again, above my pay grade. So yeah, how do I feel about it? Well, I felt particular enough about it to write about my own project about it. So that's all I'll say on the matter.
That's cool. What? Sorry, go on.
I'm hoping for either a series or a film. I'd probably prefer a series just called Averman. And it's about Averman basically spending his entire life ridiculing Bombay. That's it. That's all he does. That's all he's done for years. I mean, that's
that was my MO.
Yeah. That's all he's ever done for years, and it's just gone on and on and on, and Bombay just accepts it.
Is the proper term taking the piss? Is that how you say it?
Yes. And that wasn't me taking the piss. I think I would genuinely enjoy that.
Yeah. Well, the role of the fool traditionally is to tell truth to power, right? The Shakespearean fool is the only one in the king's court who has the ability, without getting his head lopped off, according to tradition, to tell.
And King Lear.
Yeah, and in many, like I guess, to be able to tell the king what a jerk he's been. So I as a person who's made a living as a fool and then writes that kind of stuff, like. I think you're onto something there, man. And the world needs the fools today. We look at
I'll start writing something up and I'll email it over and see what you think.
Yeah, ridicule. Always about the comedy.
I quite often link everything back to Shakespeare, so I'm so happy that you've done that for me.
Why not, right? Why not? Why not?
We do now have to link it to Die Hard though, because that's what I like to link things to. So is there a way we can link D2 to Die Hard?
I mean, I can say one of the first things I wanted to do when I came out to LA for the first time was to find Nakatomi Plaza.
Did you find it?
Oh yeah, it's on Olympic Boulevard at Avenue of the Stars. Yeah, right in Century City.
This is the part where I will edit in where it goes Hans Booby.
What you should do is get to say Hans Bombay. That'd be better.
Hans Booby, I'm your white knight.
Well, Hans, you got the Hans connection for sure.
Of course. How did I?
But in Ducks 2, Mama got sick in back in the old country, so he couldn't be there. So his brother came. So yeah.
Love that. There we go. Love that. I can't believe I didn't think of the Hans connection. I'm so ashamed of myself. Colt's wife also asks, do you get noticed a lot in public?
Yeah, I do on a fair amount. I think sometimes people will look at me and go, like, give me the nod, like they think we know each other and we don't, which is really funny. And I get it. I've done it before. Like, I've sat next to people and I'm like, oh, I just know that person from TV. Like, I remember, like, I was at some party where the actress from Star Wars was there, and I was like, I feel like I know her. I was like, do you know John? And I was like, oh no, she's only this famous actress, but I had totally done it. So I was like, oh, this is what that feels like. So yeah, I have that, and then yeah, sometimes people totally see me and recognize me, but like, yeah, it comes and goes. Sometimes it doesn't. I'm not really. I'm not a guy who wears a hat to hide from it, and I'm not like, I don't know, it's just kind of like a fact. I always try to handle it with some level of dignity, even if I'm in a hurry.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Is there Colt's wife again? Is there another duck that you would have liked to have played if you couldn't have played Averman?
No, I think I'd want to play Averman. However, I was originally auditioned for Fulton, which never should have been cast in. And like, yeah, I mean, everybody wants to be like the big, like, quiet, dark, tough guy. So yeah, every fool wants to do that. So yeah, I'll be that. Yeah.
And then last one from here was from Catcher the Moments, JK. What was your favorite scene to film in any of the Mighty Ducks movies?
That's a great question. Well, I think of the scene where we're doing the ants in Ducks 3. That was fun. That was ridiculous. I think of the scene in Beverly Hills with the girls. Definitely that one. And I think of the day in Ducks 2 when we got to play hockey all around, and our coach had like somehow convinced production on this hugely scheduled day. Jack White did this, who taught us hockey, that like everything, and they only had a certain amount of time to let us scrimmage, so because we wouldn't ever forget it for the rest of our lives, and to let all the kids and all the doubles and the people that played and the actors that played the Iceland team all play hockey on an NHL hockey rink in front of 12,000 people.
Wow.
And yeah, that one, because I scored a goal, and later on I found out that the coach had told the Iceland players to kind of take a dive. So it might have been a little rigged.
Hey, the crowd didn't know, so that's fine.
The crowd and the feeling. I mean, those days, yeah, that stuff, waving the flag around and like just all the cameras and just that experience, those 7 or 8 days that we were there, 10 days, still, so many years later. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't actually scroll. There were a couple more. Sorry, if you don't mind. Someone's asked from the Radcast, which is another podcast, which you guys should check out. Did Aaron Law, so Dean Portman, ever sing anything from Newsies while on set?
No, we used to make fun of him for it. And we called him Newsy. I'm trying to remember everybody's nicknames that we all got. No, but what he did sing, and it was cruel and unusual punishment to let me start the "We Are the Champions" when we had that guy. Okay?
That's a great moment to start though. What an iconic song, obviously, and at the perfect time because you were the champions.
Yeah, I mean that was of the Junior Goodwill games. And that day when we were at LA Coliseum, I mean, all that stuff. It's like the Olympics were here. I mean, it was like there wasn't a moment of that film that wasn't like wow, pinch yourself wildness,
Yeah, amazing. GMD Keeping Classy, I don't know if I just butchered that, said at the end of the first movie, was Charlie actually skating and performing that? I'm guessing he means the Triple Deke.
the infamous triple deke that one should never try in a real shootout. So yeah, he actually did do that. Yeah, Josh was actually a really great skater. Yeah, still plays too.
He was awesome in Little Fires Everywhere. Just if anyone's not seen that yet, it's really good. Amazon Prime. Well, we just say thank you so much for your time. As always, Matt. If you'd like to help support the podcast, please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get podcasts. Matt, could you believe it? But we got our first 1 star, and it was in America. I'm guessing we might have gone on a bit of a rant about some anti-Trump stuff. Whoops! But I think we might.
That might have been me.
But we need some.
Do you want me to repeat that? I can gladly find you another 1 star out there if you want.
We don't mind getting any of the 1 stars from any Trump supporters, but we do. It does bring our rating down, which does make us look bad when we are so evidently amazing. So please, if you're an American listener or any listener anywhere, please give us a 5 stars and help us, get back up the ratings there.
Yeah, that guy can go Trump himself.
Nice.
We'll put all of the links to your website, Matt, and to the album in the description. And thank you so much for your time. And
D2, man, it's been a pleasure. Yeah.
D2 is one of my favorite movies of all time. I love it always. So thank you so much for providing me with it.
Well, thanks for giving me a chance to share and chat about the experience. I hope, if it means half as much to you guys as it meant to me, and then we're, I get it. Thank you.
It's been great talking to you, and thank you so much for your time. And just having people like yourselves actually just give us even a half an hour of your time is fantastic for us. So we really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Well, the Ducks has done more for my life. It would be than many things. So yeah, it would be remiss for me not to give back to it. So appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe, man. Thanks. So that was Matt Doherty, which was a great honor. If you want to check out any of our stuff, any of our back episodes, you can at themighty90s.com or on all podcast platforms or here on our YouTube channel. Stay up to date with us. Send us suggestions or guests that we'd like us to have in the future or other movies or TV shows for us to cover. Dom?
You can also follow us on social media. So find us on Instagram at themighty90s, where we'd like you to like our pictures, leave some comments, and also send us questions for our next podcast. So we're always putting stuff on there about what's coming up next. But, don't be afraid to ask us about podcasts we've covered before as well.
Exactly that. So please rate, review, subscribe, help us out, help us spread the message to, more people that enjoy this sort of stuff. And thank you for your support.
And be gentle with us.
And wear gloves.
Bye.
Show me the honey.
Steamboat Willie. Doot, doot.
Don't want to raise your kids. I don't even like kids.
His name is Robert Paulson.
You're not even a has-been. You're a never was.
I'm Woody. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
I'm gonna show you God does exist.
I am invincible! Go, baby, go! Once again!
I see pride!
Junior!
I see power! I see a badass mother who won't take no crap off from nobody!
That's right!
There's not a man today who could take me away from my God.
Ooh, you good looking. You're hot.
It's like looking in a mirror, only not.
And I don't think they give him for surfing the internet.
Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. Rocky loves Emily. What's going on?